Hi guys, today we're going to learn about decimal fractions. So, the first problem here, it says 3 over 10 equals blank over 100. So in order to convert the fractions, you first need to check the denominators. Are they the same? Well, in this case, they're not. So what do you need to do to get from 10 to 100? Well, you multiply 10. So if you multiply 10 to the denominator, then you're going to multiply 10 to the numerator. So then 3 times 10 equals 30. Now let's look at the next problem. It says 40 over 100 equals blank over 10. So the two denominators, again, aren't the same. So you can't keep the numerators the same. So what did you do to get from 100 to 10? Well, you divided by 10. So if you did that to the denominator, you do the same thing to your numerator. So 40 divided by 10 equals 4. So now these are the two answers. Now we're going to add them. Now let's see. 30 over 100. So I just brought this one here. And then 40 over 4 over 10. Sorry. And then now we're going to add. So if you looked at the last video, you can't add unless the two denominators are the same number. So there's 10 here, and there's 100 here, and they aren't the same. So before we learned that we would multiply across, but this number comes out to be a really big number. So if you find a way to try to get this number to equal this number, then that's an easier way too. So in order to get from 10 to 100, what did you do? You multiplied 10, right? So that 10 times 10 equals 100. So if you multiply 10 to the numerator, then you multiply, if you multiply 10 to the denominator, then you multiply 10 to the numerator. So this comes out again. So I'm just going to copy that first fraction. And then now this is a new fraction. So it's going to be 10 times 10, 10 times 10, which is 100. And then you multiply this too, because whatever you do to the denominator, you have to do to the numerator. So 4 times 10 equals 40. So now you can add these two fractions because the denominators are the same. So they come out to be 100 because you keep the denominator and you just add the numerator, 30 plus 40, which is 70. So this is your answer. Now, if we look here, again, we're adding these two, and these denominators have to be the same. So in order to get 10 equal to 100, what did you do? You multiplied 10, right? So if you multiply 10, so you can multiply 10 here, and you can multiply 10 here, because whatever you do to the denominator, you have to do to the numerator. So then you copy the first fraction, and now this new fraction is going to be 3 times 10, which is 30, and 10 times 10, which is 100. So now as you can see here, these two denominators are the same. So you just bring the denominators over, and then you add the two. So it's going to be 20 plus 30, which is 50. So this is your answer. Let's look at the next problem. So again, these two denominators aren't the same. So what did you do? To get from 10 to 100, you multiply by 10. So if you multiply 10 to the denominator, you have to do it to the numerator. So now we get out, well, first we're going to copy this fraction. And then we get 10 times 10, which is 100. 50 times 10 is 500. So if we add these two fractions, you keep the denominator the same, these two the same, and then you just add the numerators. So 4 plus 500 is 504. So this is your final answer. Now, next question, write the fraction as a decimal. So in order to write a fraction as a decimal, well, first you check the denominator. The denominator here is 100. So the trick is, if the denominator is 100, you see there are 2 zeros. So if you have 2 zeros, this is your starting point, wherever your decimal is. So in any number, the decimal is going to be in front of the number unless the decimal is here, but it's not. So if you don't see a decimal, it's right after the number. So if it was 100, the decimal is here. but if it was 10, the decimal is here. If it was 9.6, this is the decimal here. So as you can see here, the decimal is here, right? So then it's 100. So there are 2 zeros, so you just bring 1, 2. So this is not your answer, but your final answer is going to be 0.62. Okay? So we're going to do more practice later. Let's look at the question here. It says locate the decimal on the number line. So now we got this answer as 0.62. So now if we look here, the endpoints are 0 and 1, and the middle is going to be 0.5. So the middle is going to be the end, which is 1 divided by 2, because you want to get the middle. So 1/2 is actually equal to, 0.5. So if you got the middle here, then this is 0.62, 0.67, 0.68, 0.69. So I'm asking you to locate this decimal on this number line. So 0.62, well, 6 is here. So we're just going to, if this is this is the middle of 0.6 and 0.7. So this middle would actually be 0.65. Therefore, 0.62 is going to be somewhere around here. It's not accurate, but this is an estimate. So it's going to be around here, close to the 0.62, because it's more, because if you look at 0.62 and 0.67, 0.6 and 0.67, 0.62 is going to be around right here. It's closer to 0.6. All right, let's look at the next problem. So again, your denominator is 100, so how many zeros are there? There's 2. So if it's if it's 54, then you're going to write this down. So find out where your decimal is. Well, your decimal, I said if there's no decimal present, it's going to be after the whole number, like the full number. So then it says, 2 zeros, so you're going to go 1, 2. So this is not your answer, but this is your final destination. So your answer is 0.54. All right, let's locate it on the number line. So we said 0.54. So here's 0.5. And if this is 0.6, because we said that this is 0.789, so 0.54 is going to be around here. Not exactly in the middle, but a little below that, because exactly in the middle between 0.5 and 0.6 is going to be 0.55. Okay? All right, so compare the two decimals above. The two decimals we got are 0.62 and 0.54. Okay? So if we look at the number line, it's easier to show which is bigger or which is smaller. So if we look over here and over here, we can see that this number is bigger than this one, right? So therefore, we're going to say that 0.62 is greater than 0.54. And also, instead of just looking at the number line, if you think about this logically, which number is bigger, 6.2 or 5.4? Well, obviously it's 6.2, right? So even though there's a decimal here, it does make it smaller than 62. This number is less than 1, okay? So even though this is less than 1, it's still bigger than this number here, okay? Because 6.2 is greater than 54. And then take into account the decimals. All right, thank you for watching.